He showed up unannounced to apologize. He did not apologize. Instead, he sat in our living room and launched into a rant that nobody had asked for, about subjects nobody had raised, with the confidence of a man who had never once been contradicted. My sister contradicted him twice, once with a question about dogs, once with a clownfish he left shortly after. This is a story about an unwelcome guest, a living room that became a debate stage nobody volunteered for, and one sister who stayed perfectly calm, perfectly sweet, and dismantled an entire rant using nothing but mock concern and marine biology. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and let me tell you about the clownfish that ended a tirade. We hadn't spoken to this man in a while. There had been an argument, the kind that ends a friendship rather than denting it, and we had all settled into the comfortable silence of no contact. Then he showed up at the door, unannounced. With an apology, he said he was sorry for the argument. He wanted to make things right. We weren't happy to see him, but we're polite people, and polite people invite someone in for tea even when they'd rather not, because that's what you do. So we did. It became clear within minutes that the apology had been the entirety of the personal growth on offer. He hadn't changed at all. The same man who had caused the original fallout was sitting in our living room, tea in hand, and once he'd gotten comfortable, he started talking about things nobody had brought up, about subjects that had nothing to do with the occasion or the room or any conversation anyone was trying to have. He worked at a pet store. He had opinions, strong ones, delivered at volume, about the kinds of people he encountered in his professional capacity and what he thought of them. The opinions were not kind, and they were not brief, and they were building towards something that nobody in that room wanted to sit through. My parents didn't want to deal with it. I wasn't there. That left my sister. My sister, as it turns out, was exactly the right person for what happened next. He was going on about the various people he encountered at work specifically. He had strong feelings about the volume of trans people who apparently visited his pet store, which he delivered as though this were a crisis requiring immediate community attention. You won't believe, he said, with genuine outrage, how many trans people I see in the pet store. Just terrible. My sister's eyes went wide. What could they be doing to the dogs? She gasped. She said it with full sincerity. Complete, earnest, horrified concern. The tone of someone who has just been informed of a genuine emergency and needs to understand the scope of it immediately. He stopped. You could see it happening in real time. The brief, terrible moment when a person realizes that the sentence they just said, heard back through someone else's interpretation, sounds absolutely nothing like what they intended. He had been expressing a generalized social complaint. She had received it as a specific threat to pets. The gap between those two things opened up in the room like a sinkhole. He recovered. He moved on. He found different territory. The new territory was God's design. Two genders, he explained. Created by God, a man is a man and a woman is a woman, and this was not a position open for discussion because it was the word of the divine, and to suggest otherwise was to defile the wondrous creation itself. My sister smiled. It was, by her account, a very sweet smile. Yes, she said, God is truly wondrous. Did you know clownfish can change sex under certain conditions? It's like a miracle. He froze. I want you to understand the logical trap that had just closed around him, because it was elegant in its simplicity. His position rested on a foundational claim that God's creation established a fixed binary order that human beings were defying by stepping outside it. Trans people, in his framework, were going against nature, and nature, in his framework, was God's design. My sister had just introduced a data point, a species, created by God, that changes sex as a natural biological response to environmental conditions, a species that does, in the most literal possible sense, what he had just declared to be an abomination against creation. If trans people were wrong because they contradicted God's design, what was he going to do with the clownfish? Argue with God about the fish? Declare the clownfish heretical? Suggest that God had made a mistake with approximately 500 species of sequential hermaphrodites? He wasn't equipped for any of those conversations. You could see it, this specific expression of a person whose talking points have encountered a fact they weren't designed to absorb, and who is now searching for an exit. He mentioned something about his studies in Hebrew. Then he left. What I love about both of my sister's moves is that they required exactly zero aggression. She didn't argue. She didn't lecture. She didn't match his volume or his certainty or his willingness to turn a tea visit into a soapbox performance. She asked a sincere-sounding question about dogs and offered a cheerful fact about fish, and both times the effect was the same. She handed his own words back to him at a slightly different angle and let him discover, on his own, that they didn't hold up the way he thought they did. The dog question made him hear what he'd actually said. The clownfish made him sit with what he actually believed. Neither of those things required my sister to lose her composure or her smile, which made it considerably more effective than anything louder would have been. He came to our house to apologize. He used the visit to do the exact thing that had caused the original falling out, and he left having been gently, cheerfully, thoroughly defeated by marine biology and a well-timed question about pets. My sister told me the whole story while laughing. I think about the clownfish a lot. If this gave you that specific satisfaction of watching someone get outwitted with a smile and a nature fact, smash that like button and drop a comment. What's the cleverest low-key comeback you've ever witnessed or delivered? I want every story, and if you want more tales of people being quietly, cheerfully dismantled, subscribe. New story every week. See you in the next one.